Welcome to the Simply Financial podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Calandra. I wanted to share with you 6 surprising things that often happen in retirement. These are things that might get overlooked as you think about and plan for retirement. Retirement, as you can imagine, is a big chapter in your life. It is the reward for a lifetime of hard work. And many people look forward to retiring and following their dreams of traveling, going on adventures, having time available to them that they never had before. So, retirement can be exciting and it could be a validating time, but there can be some surprises that are not necessarily anticipated. So, let's cover what those are now. Number one, even in retirement, your home will be a large expense. So, oftentimes, people enter into retirement and they have their mortgage paid off. I'm a huge advocate of that, and our financial planning work that we do with clients is often geared to the idea of getting debt free. If there is one debt remaining in retirement, it might only be the mortgage in a perfect world. But even if the mortgage is paid off, owning a home is a big expense. You have the upkeep on the home, you have increasing taxes, and as you know, upkeep on the home over time as you own a home long term, there are big ticket items. For example, Joelle and I are putting a new roof on our home, and of course that's a big ticket item. There are also many retirees, and this I think is surprising in its own right, that end up trading into a larger home in retirement, bringing their expenses even higher than anticipated at the outset. So the first surprise is that in retirement, your home will be a large expense even if the mortgage is paid off, and hopefully it is. Second thing, healthcare costs, and this is super important and does get some consideration when people are thinking about retirement, but healthcare costs can be massive, and that can take you by surprise. One of the largest expenses retirees will face, and this oftentimes is in the later years of retirement, is healthcare costs. This expense can average up to $250,000 in some instances. Individuals with major health problems might incur even more. There are ways to help reduce this cost. There's no silver bullet though. Health savings accounts are very attractive. It's something that I use in my household. And trying to be as healthy and active as possible is a great thing to do to try and stave off healthcare costs. But there's only so many things that you can control. But with the rising cost of healthcare, retirees should plan to save and be prepared to meet these expenses should they occur. The third surprising thing is that many retirees will actually end up continuing to work. Many people will continue to work into their retirement. Sometimes this is driven by finances, but sometimes there are other reasons why people go to work. They may want to try something different, tap into a different skill set, learn something new. Sometimes it is done to help with socialization, get out and meet new people. There's a lot of reasons why many retirees continue to work, even if it's not a financial requirement. Retirement's also a time when many people volunteer. They give back to different organizations and causes that are important to them. And when they're working, many people don't have time to help their favorite charities. They may donate money, but time may be at a premium. In retirement, that time limitation melts away. So a lot of people end up working, and I'm doing air quotes, by performing charitable work, donating their time. Next, I want to talk about the reality that retirement can be lonely for some. So health and wellness in retirement is incredibly important. Some people do experience loneliness when they retire. Some even suffer depression. I think back, and this is going back a while ago, but my father-in-law retired at a relatively young age, or at least left his longtime career at somewhere, I think, age 54. But he had worked for a steel mill, a blue collar worker, had spent his entire career with the company, and it was such an accomplishment for him to be able to retire early, get kind of a golden handshake. But I got to tell you, in the first couple of years, it was tough on him. He had been a guy that got up every day and worked. His job was in town. There was a lot that was wrapped up in that job, financially, socially, time wise, purpose, the regimen of going to work. And when that went away, that adjustment, I'm not talking financial now, I'm just talking lifestyle wise, was really difficult. And it took him about 2 years to kind of find his footing. This issue, now my father-in-law was married, but this issue of loneliness, possibly even depression, is even more common for individuals who are single, and also for those who retire far away from their family. Most often the loneliness can and will subside as you get into retirement. Again, thinking about my father-in-law's story, once you adjust to the new normal and you figure some things out on the social end of things and what you're going to do with your time, plus just the adjustment and the winding down of the intensity that you may have had when you were in the workforce, these things will get adjusted. And lots of people in retirement, and I've seen this with my parents, my in-laws, as well as many, many clients that I've worked with over the years, they'll adjust to retirement and they'll get involved in activities and they'll make new friends. And that is very wonderful to see. But again, it can be surprising that retirement can be lonely for some individuals, especially the adjustment period when you start out in retirement. Many retirees, this is number 5, many retirees will actually feel younger even as they grow older. And this may seem a little surprising, but if you've interacted with retirees like I have for all of these years, it actually makes a lot of sense. Many retirees actually feel better and even younger than they did when they worked. Granted, they may have to deal with more physical ailments as they get older, but, and this is extremely important, but they don't have the day-to-day stress that come with a job and family responsibilities. It is often a period of a little more peace and serenity than they had when they were in the rat race. Many people actually find themselves becoming even more active during retirement, physically active, mentally active, because they're not worn down from the rigors of what might be a pretty intense career. They also have more time to enjoy activities, new and old, that they may not have had time before. And for these reasons, many retirees will feel even younger in retirement despite the fact that they're growing older. The last point I wanted to make in terms of surprising aspects of retirement is that retirement can last longer than expected, and this can be deceiving. The average retirement age in the US is calculated based on life expectancy, with most people assuming that retirement will last around 15 years. But the reality is, with improved healthcare and amazing advancement in medical technology, many people are actually living longer than the national average. It's not surprising to see people to live and be very active well into their 70s and even into their 80s. It is increasingly common. So in planning for retirement, if retirement's going to last longer, many retirees can run short on their finances as they get deeper into retirement. In truth, you probably should plan to have your retirement income support you for at least a couple of decades after your planned retirement age. The conventional wisdom that you'll retire about 15 years, in many instances, is not an appropriate timing aspect of planning. You need to plan for longer. So you want to try and avoid having retirement deal you with any unexpected surprises. Of course, life happens. There's only so much that is within our control, but I think a good policy is to expect the unexpected and to plan for the items listed in this conversation so that you could have the best start at creating a retirement that is secure, full of peace and joy, and be the type of retirement that you always dreamed of. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Simply Financial podcast. I hope you found the 6 surprising retirement facts, if you will, valuable. I will be back with you on the next episode of the Simply Financial podcast. I appreciate you listening and would also appreciate it if you subscribe to the podcast and recommend it to someone else who you think would benefit from it. Thanks again.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of SagePoint Financial Incorporated and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Please note the information being provided is strictly as a courtesy. When you link to any of the websites provided here, you are leaving this website. We make no representation as to the completeness or accuracy of the information provided at these websites, nor is the company liable for any direct or indirect technical or system issues or any consequences arising out of your access to your use of third-party technologies, websites, information, and programs made available through this website. When you access one of these websites, you are leaving our website and assume total responsibility and risk for your use of the websites you are linking to. Securities and advisory services are offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Insurance services offered through Elliott Wealth Management, LLC, not affiliated with SagePoint